That's what
Yeah.
screwed us up.
It was a
Agreed.
fist fight, man. I felt exhausted just watching it. I felt like I was like flexing or like cringing every possession. It mattered. Every single one of them mattered so much.
Brutal, brutal.
I mean,
And we just
all I
oof.
got to say about it is, if these are two really good basketball teams, God, am I glad we won. Whew.
All right,
It
we're
only
live.
it
Can somebody check me?
Yeah,
it
yeah.
only
No, we're
it,
live. I'm
it
gonna
made
I'm
it
gonna
even
blast it
worse
on
that
our
it was
socials.
a
But y'all get it started whenever.
like if this
Yeah.
was away, I would have been like, okay, whatever. This is an away game in the SEC, but at home, if we had lost this one, it would have hurt in this
Well, again,
fashion for sure
Jackson,
too.
you're always on this. We've got harder matchups coming up. We still got to go to
Yeah.
Alabama, to A&M, to Rupp. So we just it like we could lose those three and still win the league. But if we drop this one, now you're talking about 4 losses. Now your margin for error is 0. But we still have margin for error now,
Absolutely.
which is big.
Did Alabama hold off LSU? Because it was really close.
They were up 4 when I last looked, but our game was too good. I couldn't stop. Give me a sec. Oh no, they won 80-73.
Okay, well, pretty close. Jackson, you ready?
Yeah, I guess, but the normal boys aren't going to show up and let. Oh, they might just pop
They
in at
might
some
give
Pop
point.
him
in
time.
So
if
Give him
they pop
time.
in.
yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready whenever you guys are ready.
All right, let's go. Three, two.
All right, all right. One of the toughest victories in a long time. Auburn pulls out a low-scoring, rough, physical, brutal battle against the number 6 Tennessee Volunteers. We won 53-51, a 2-point victory with a Miles Kelly 3 near the end of the game that put us on top and some free throws down the stretch. It was brutal. It was almost as brutal as when the students got stampeded this morning trying to get into college game day. Our players were bloodied. Our students were bloodied. We shot 15% from three. It was hard to watch out there. I think it was Jay Billis talked about how it was the most physical game he's seen in years, but we pull it out. And that's what great teams do. Great teams win games they're not supposed to. Great teams win when their players are hurt. Great teams win when things are tough. And we pulled it out tonight against a really good Tennessee team that has done this to us before. This is not the first time Tennessee's defense has made us look silly. It has turned a team that looked competent into a team that didn't. And tonight, we ended up with the last 2 points that put us on top. It was tough to watch the whole night, but we got the boys here. We got Matt and Ben to break it down. Matt, what'd you think?
It's a 6-0 run to steal the game at the end. I mean, you're down 4 with 2 minutes to go. We'll get into other parts of the game, but I think we had a great group chat tonight. This would have been a good one for everybody else to be in on. There were some fun things we'll
Wait,
talk about. But I just think this group, for me, and if you've listened to the pod, you've heard this. Like at the beginning of the year, it's like, are they tough enough? Are they? Do we have the right leadership? Do we have the right guts? Like you have to be so physically and mentally tough in this league. We knew it was going to be tough. It's even tougher than we thought. And so many guys, you go down the last 8 minutes, we matched the physicality. That was the story for me. I thought most of the game we did not. I thought Tennessee played their style and they imposed their will in the game. And for Auburn to come away and win that game, given all the circumstances that we'll talk about with Janai Broom and everything that happened, I mean, it's a huge win. You can downplay Tennessee all you want. It is funny that their offense is still very boring after all these years. Like it's funny that our defense was why we were able to win this game. Um, Another win over Tennessee, which if you know me, that's a big one for me. So I'm really happy we pulled it out.
Ben, thoughts?
I have no thoughts. Matt's already decided to start the roasting of our group chat that's happened here. But man, he hit the nail on the head. It's all about toughness. We saw this early in the year against Houston when we went down 8. We saw this against Iowa State when we were down 16 at the half. We even saw this against Duke in a game that we couldn't quite finish out. I mean, you think about that possession where Isaiah Evans hit his last 3-pointer, or no, forget that. I don't know who hit that last 3-pointer where we forced them to go late in the shot clock, and that was finally the dagger that put us away on the road. It takes something special to beat this year's Auburn team, and it's usually fun to watch. Tonight was a little bit more stressful, but Jackson, whose music do I hear in the corner there?
Miles Kelly's music, or is that Ryan Norman's music? The
It could be
Norman
Miles Kelly's.
brothers music
It could
is
be Miles Kelly's
here.
music.
Ryan Norman in the house. We didn't know if he was going to make it, folks. What a surprise. He's here. Ryan, what just happened?
A good team winning a tough game is what just happened. I'll tell you
Woo!
that.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
We've got our YouTube up. We've got the Reddit up for some MVP discussion in the YouTube chat. We've got Connor. We've got Penn State fan. You don't see that every day. You got Tucker Robinson, Chris Thomas, a couple other people. Connor said, yeah, the crowd crush is no joke. I literally made a joke to start this podcast, so I beg to disagree, but that was kind of crazy that people want to be in our game so badly. They're willing to crush each other, which is a big difference from when me and Matt and Ben and Ryan were all at school, where they were begging us to come, where you had to hire Ludacris to come get them to come to practice. It's different now. People are you have to tell them not to camp out instead of trying to encourage them to show up in time for the game start.
We had pizza, we had Ludacris, Black Doug. I mean, everyone was there.
Okay.
Was
we
anybody
can't talk about the dark days after this game? Can we please talk about our fearless leader, Janai freaking Broom? 2 weeks after some of you thought he was dead and never going to play basketball again, he comes back, and he was so gutty tonight. I mean, he was so tough. He wasn't 100%. If you're watching on YouTube, Ben is sporting a beautiful Janai Broom jersey from Maui. I just thought he rose to every occasion. He carried us when it was slow. He got more comfortable as the game went on, which is a good sign, I think. And he just made a few incredible plays down the stretch that were just instinctive, winning basketball plays when we desperately needed it. He didn't hit the biggest shot, but man, he set it up. He had the blocks. I just think we have to gush about Janai Broom, and we're so glad he's back.
Janai Broom was not fully healthy. If you didn't watch the game tonight, Janai Broom did not look fully healthy at all. It was a game time decision. No one knew if he was going to play or not, but we started getting some inklings. I mean, Ryan, I think, called it earlier. He thought he'd be back in 2 weeks. Most people did not think he'd be back by this game. They've said he's been rehabbing like 8, 9, 10 hours a day or something like that, working really hard to make it back in time. He still looked hobbled, especially on defense. He looked like he couldn't quite move as quickly to the goal as he wanted to. On offense, he seemed like he was doing pretty good because he kind of picked his spots, even though he looked a little – his putback twos were not as easy as they were before. But the stat line, man, for someone that was hobbled like that, he was obviously not – people thought maybe his minutes would be limited. Obviously not. Maybe that's because we had such a close game. But it was 16 points, 13 rebounds, 4 blocks, which is just really crazy with the way he was kind of limping around a bit, that he still pulled off 4 blocks because his timing is just that good. And I believe 2 assists, 2 really good assists out there. Janai Broom, man, he's losing some of the conversation for National Player of the Year because people really want to push the freshman phenom over at Duke, but he deserves the National Player of the Year, and I hope by next game he looks a little healthier. Did anybody even get close MVP? Should we keep gushing on Janai because there's no way even close?
Jackson, he played 33 of the last 37 minutes of this game.
And Matt talked about it.
He had to because the guards were not stepping up at all. It was brutal to watch.
Except that Matt talked about it already in a game in which we were completely out of our half-court offense, where we had very few assists. Who made the assist on the game-winning bucket after cleaning up a miss under the basket? Janai Broom grabbed a rebound, found a wide-open Miles Kelly in the corner. I mean, I don't think there's a conversation.
After a block. After his shot was blocked. I mean, just the awareness. And Tahad had a play earlier, like a minute before, that was like defied physics, where he somehow stayed up and didn't go out of bounds and hit somebody for a pass to keep a possession alive. So just these small little moments that you just don't know which ones are going to be huge. Like Jackson said, it completely flips the narrative. Like Broom gets that shot blocked and it's a turnover, then we lose, and you're talking about it. But no, Broom catches the ball, and he knows 3 guys are collapsing on him. He knows where Miles Kelly is. He doesn't even look. If you go back and watch, he knows Miles Kelly is there. It's just such a heads-up play. And then at the end, the loose ball, he avoids a travel and just chucks it down the court, which was brilliant with 5 seconds to go in the moment. So just got to give him credit. The blocks, the rebounds, the assists, the points, the minutes, the recovery, and his leadership. I mean, he is the alpha and he's more of an alpha and a more trustworthy alpha than I thought he could be a year ago. It's pretty impressive.
In a game in which the body language was so bad for so much of this game, go back and watch the film coming out of halftime when Matt texts the group chat. We're back to our original starting five. We're going to roll with our dudes. Who is in that huddle telling everybody to lock in? Big number 4.
Yep.
We've got a rare Jay Lowry sighting in the YouTube chat here. Shout out to Jay Lowry. He reaches out on Instagram pretty often. War Eagle Jay. On Reddit, we've got Prevailing Wind says Broom easy. He made 50% right. He is maybe 50% right now and dominated the game. That was defensive showdown. Otherwise, thought he had clean looks, but great teams find a way. TG Rogan says, Broom, if you say it's anyone else, I'm going to find out your address and poop on your lawn. Agreed. All right, TG, don't worry. Ribs and Whiskey Classic, he says, Broom, I appreciate how everyone else agreed to play this game one leg in his honor. W33B2 said, Broom is our savior and picture I hang above my bed. Totally agree. We should all get Janai Broom Jesus pieces to wear around our neck and above our bed and pray to him at night for all the wins we get. Let us know in the chat if you think of anything else or any other MVP. But obviously, it's Janai, right? We're gonna crown him.
Matt's gonna make me get one letter of loser behind the ear for every time I say the game's over that we don't win it.
When did he get that? I just noticed that tonight.
He's had it, bro. He's had it.
Really? I just not noticed tonight. That's crazy. But just huge shout out for him to make it back against a huge game like this. I think the script before this or the narrative before this was, hey, we're still winning even without him. Look how amazing these guards are. We just beat 2 ranked teams. Even if he can't make it back, it's a home game. We're playing well. Absolutely, we get killed in this game if Janai Broom's not out there. We could talk about how maybe some of the stuff got thrown off with him out there that maybe we need to figure out and get back into the groove. We'll see. But the guards played awful. They were so bad. We shot 15% from 3, and that was just down the stretch. Broom was one of those 3-3. We had 3 threes tonight, 3 of 20. One of those was Broom. The only first half 3 was Janai Broom. We did not hit a 3 until what? It was like 8 minutes left in the half. Am I right? I think Miles Kelly about 8 minutes left in the half. Finally hit a 3. Thank God. And then also finally down the stretch to finally put us up. Miles Kelly hit that 3. But other than that, it was brutal from our guards. He's probably, just from hitting those 2 threes, that's the only points he had all night were those 2 threes. Pettiford was fine. We could break him down a little bit more. He was the only one that didn't seem scared out there. Denver Jones, once again, against an elite team on offense, was bad. And I think it's official now that it is an issue. Now, you can talk about his defense and everything.
Whoa.
This is official. Every great team we've played, Denver Jones has absolutely goose-egged us, and he just can't handle it out there.
Denver Jones did have 4 pretty bad turnovers tonight, but he also had 2 assists. He finished with 3 rebounds. He was perfect at the line. He was able to draw some contact and get to the bucket, which we need from our point guard inside. I mean, when you talk about Denver Jones's play tonight, look at Zakai Ziegler's stat line. 4 of 15 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3. Chaz Lanier, one of the best players in the SEC, a big savvy senior, 4 of 11 from the floor, 2 of 6 from 3. Don't take Denver Jones' defense for granted, even on nights where his offense is not working.
His defense is great, but this was, to Jackson's point, it was a Zep Jasper game, which he's way better than Zep Jasper on the offensive end. But tonight he was, and he turned it over way more. Zep never turned it over. So Denver was rough, but I'm not ready to. I think he can still score double figures in a big tournament game for us. I don't think he's.
It's games where the guards are extremely physical and up in your face. He has a hard time handling that pressure, and it trickles down the effect. I mean, even when he gets past his guard, it's like, he just can't finish at the rim, or
he puts his head down. He gets in a class, he puts his head down, and he has to go to the rim. He can't stop on a dime like some of these guys. Like Pettiford,
he did draw fouls and get us in the bonus. He got us in the bonus because he was the one going to the rim.
Even then, it was a little out of control when he got some of those foul calls. And what it was
and
the guy was up on him because they believed they could gas him. They believed they could turn him over, and he would finally get past them after a while, like ruining our offense with not getting the ball started. And then half the time he got a foul call. Other half he just got blocked or he missed or it just was not good. It was not in control. None of it was in control. Pettiford, when he's out there, is mostly in control, but he's still young. I was begging for more Pettiford minutes near the end there, but I get why
Well, let's
on
talk about that.
defense they want Denver out there.
Well, hang on.
To the point,
Before we talk about that, we have to talk about the aggressiveness of Tennessee's front court and the fact that we were hobbled and the fact that we could not get into our pick and pop game. I don't think we had a single alley-oop dunk this whole game. So our bigs and the way that they were spaced tonight around Janai Broom, moving a little bit more gingerly and moving a little bit more tenderly, I think really affected the guard play. I think the fact that we didn't have guys going to the cup from the outside, those hard cuts, made a huge difference.
I was just going to say, I think the best point, to Jackson's point, and I think we talked about, it's always fun when you're actually in a close drag out game. Like, all right, who do the coaches, what are they going to do? Right? Who are they going to pick? And they've been doing a lot of offense defense with Denver and Tahad. So they clearly understand that Tahad's the better offensive playmaker, but he has also been a defensive liability at times. And he also has struggled with the ball pressure at times that Tennessee and other teams have put on him. So I think it's just a hard decision, but they went from up 2 to down 4 at the beginning of that last segment, the last 4 minutes. They bring Tahad in. He hit a beautiful floater to get us off that 6-0 run, and we start our own. And he was really good. And I think we all know he needs to be in the game late. The bigger question becomes like, okay, if you're going to do that, I don't think they want to take Miles or CBM off the floor. So it probably becomes a situation where Denver is going to not finish some of these games. And that's probably the way it needs to be.
I think as long as I'm cool with where we're at. And I think this is just, you just, as a coaching staff or whatever, you just got to know after this one, yeah, Denver's not going to be it in these elite games where they're pressuring the guards, and just know that. And luckily, we're blessed. 5-star Tahad Pettiford is playing great and developing every game. You just got to know over the next 10 games, you've got to get Pettiford to a point where in the tournament, when it's tight like this against really good defenses, Pettiford's got to be ready to finish games over Denver.
I'm sorry.
And you just got to get us there.
It's not correct because Zakai Ziegler is 5'11". We're not going to face an elite guard that is that small throughout the rest of this game. And the fact that we needed, like Matt was saying, offense for defense is why you can bring Tahad in. They're not going to have to try and switch Zakai around. They're going to try to keep him on a guy like Tahad. And Tahad's athleticism was absolutely on display tonight because against a fifth-year senior, he was able to get some crazy separation against Ziegler late. And that's what it's going to come down to. And when we're in the math system, when we're under 2 minutes, do you need offense? Then Pettiford is in. Do you need defense? Then Denver Jones is in.
Sure, if you can really be subbing in and out, fine. But like in general, I want Pettiford at the end of games out there when it's big, meaningful games and get him ready in time. And I know there's this discussion of a short guard. Oh, they could switch, blah, blah, blah. I just barely see this in college basketball. I feel like even when we had Wendell, they would try to do these switches onto our little guy that was way worse defender, in my opinion, than Pettiford. And it still just doesn't work. It just doesn't work as much as it does in the NBA. I'm not as concerned about it. If it really is an issue, get him ready. Because it's just, there's no offense there from Denver. You just get him ready.
I'm not concerned about him getting switched on like he did against Duke. Maybe against Duke if we play Duke again. But it's
going to happen against Florida, and it's going to happen against Kentucky.
It's more, can he stay with Ziegler? Can he defend? And like Denver did a good job of defending Ziegler all night. Like he really did. Tahad only played 14 minutes.
I mean, Ziegler wasn't doing much, but just running around.
But he's their whole team.
It's so I'm not willing to I think Denver provides so much value to this team by doing those type of things. And look, like, yeah, he went 0 for 8, 0 for 5, but so did everyone else tonight. So I mean, I'm willing to let that go by. But it's also his first time probably ever since high school, or maybe not even then, playing point guard, and he's having to go against the best in the country, week in and week out. So, yes, it's tough, and 4 turnovers is tough, and there were some really costly mistakes tonight. I'm still hoping that he's learning game by game. Still, because we have to have him.
Sorry, Ryan. I have to tell Jackson this is just something we would have laughed about 5 years ago when we talked about basketball. So, Jackson, I tell you that we shoot 15% from 3.
Ooh.
I tell you that both Chad and Denver don't make a shot.
Ooh.
And we win. What does Jackson say if I say that yesterday in the group chat?
There's a lot of these. I was literally thinking about someone was asking about March Madness. I've been talking a ton about Auburn basketball, just like people that don't really watch right now. I'm trying to explain them to them. We've had this amazing offense that's just breaking records. It feels like they're saying a lot of these statistics are better than teams in the last 25 years, even on College Game Day today. And I think the big thing is we have an amazing center, and then we have a bunch of great guards that are shooting around 40% from three. You usually only have one or the other. You rarely have both at the same time. So when the shooting was down tonight, we had the absolute abysmal shooting. I did not think we were capable of at home, honestly. I did not think we were capable of shooting 50% at home. Yeah, 25% or something like that on a weird night. Sure. 15%. And one of those was from Janai Broom. Oh, I didn't think so. But we had the center to finish things up, even if he was injured. So we have those, two different things we can beat you with if one is off. So yeah, you're right. I can't believe we won this game. I mean, it makes sense that we won it 53-51. And it's classic that Tennessee's offense can't do anything. They've gotten exposed several times as having issues with their offense. So.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy watching them year after year. They've win a lot of games. You can't argue with like the productivity, especially in the regular season. Like they're really good. They're hard to play. But it is just like crazy to me to watch. They look the same every year. It's
AU Bear,
crazy.
What are they going to do when Zakai finally graduates? That's what I want to know.
AU Bear in the chat says, Jesus Christ, I love you all, but this was not fun. Yeah, this one was a tough one. This was not the most fun watch. Like now that you've won it, it's great. I'm having a good time with everybody. But when you were watching, it was not good basketball. We were playing really archaic basketball out there the way we were shooting. Let's see what other people say out here. Penn State fan 4084. What are you doing out here, Penn State fan 84? Like change your name to Auburn fan. I don't know. Like I don't know why your name's that. It said front court certainly picked it up today. Yeah, definitely. Connor Feemster said Pettifer, my beloved. Jay Lauer said Chaney's play was really good, except the dodgeball move, head on a swivel, but 10 points was crucial. Totally true. He had a weird turnover, but
can we talk about maybe the last couple of possessions because everybody on the court made some critical plays.
Hold on. Before we do that, we should talk a little bit more of our player breakdown. We talked a little bit about Miles Kelly game. We haven't talked enough about Chaney Johnson's game. Chaney Johnson started this game tonight. He played, what are we looking at here? 25 minutes, which is great for him. 5 of 8 from the floor, probably our most consistent offensive weapon outside of Broom. He did a lot of really great cleaning up inside. I thought he was probably fouled more than the refs gave him credit for, but you like just a tough, brutal battle inside with a guy who's 6'10" and with a guy who's 6'11".
Yeah, our centers and forwards played well. Chaney played well. Cardwell even started playing well, and then they just did not play him at all because we needed Janai's offense so badly. But those guys, Chaney and Broom, are the reason we won this game. The guards just were terrible.
What does that allow you to do playing Chaney? It allows you to play Broom at center, so he doesn't have to be out on the perimeter as much when he was hobbled. So Dylan was a great teammate, as he always is, cheering on the bench. Honestly, I thought we could have used more Dylan if it was a different scenario because at times we just needed that. But Chaney made the play of the game that won't ever get talked about. After the Miles Kelly 3, Tennessee didn't call a timeout. They ran a good set. Somebody got blown by. I don't know if it was Chad or Miles. Somebody got blown by, and Chaney just vertically got knocked backwards, like destroyed by the offensive guy. But it was a good no call by the refs, and we get the rebound, and that's where Tahad hits the free throw. So that's a huge, huge play that you don't get a stat for that. But Chaney was just beautifully vertical in a key pivotal moment that Tennessee takes the lead if he doesn't do that.
That brings up a good point. I've got a couple of topics over here, and I want to see which one of you guys.
Well, hold on, Jackson. If I can, before we get into topics, there's one more player that I want to talk about tonight because it's the guy.
That's one of the topics.
No, not him, not him. It's the guy that we all don't want to see on the floor tonight, but who absolutely packed the stat sheet in the time that he was down there. Chris Moore had a fantastic rotation tonight. 3 minutes, 3 rebounds, 1 block. Shout out to the junkyard dog, Chris Moore. Way to get in there and fight in a game that you have no business playing in.
I never know where you're going to go sometimes, but I did not see Chris Moore coming. He also got hit in the head. Anyways, yeah, great leader. We always are a fan of Chris Moore, even if I don't want to see him out there too often. The 4 topics I have in my thing up here, and I want to see which one you guys grab. The referees, CBM and his play and that injury and him going to the locker room and just overall CBM play. Jakai Howard nonsense. We'll see if y'all want to grab that one. And final minute breakdown. Which one of those 4 topics do you guys feel most passionate about?
The Jakai one's going to be interesting to follow this week because I think we all probably saw that coming at some point throughout the year. We saw it get better, and I think he did not react well to coaching, and Bruce said, "See ya." And
now, can we explain, because the telecast said 0, right?
they
So
said
can we
zero
explain
about it.
where this is coming from, and then explain, like, did Bruce send him or did he leave?
From what I saw, Chaz Lanier hit that 3. Jakai didn't put a hand up, was super late, just can't do that against this type of team. Called a timeout and just was absolutely, coaching him up on the sideline. They were having a heated discussion, and I think some things were said, and Bruce just kind of pointed to the locker room, and he went.
Thank God. Thank God.
Brian
I
Smith
heard
and Corey Williams followed. They came back onto the court, and then he did not. So,
at least thank God it was a point away to get out the locker. The way I heard explain the text group was that he just left for the locker room, and I was like, oh, that might be it. That might be it for the rest of the season if he just got up and walked away. But if Bruce sent him, I mean, it's bad. I thought we were past this. I thought that he was like getting better. Like we had the head shaking game in the very first game where he was upset the field didn't pass him the ball, even though they were hitting threes. Then we had the airplane fight. And then in general, there was some weird attitude stuff there. And then now this, I don't know.
It had gotten a lot better, though. It had gotten a lot better.
And I put my hot take that he would win us a game down the stretch because he's so athletic. He really has the skill level to do something. But now I'm out. Now, like both me and Ben's hot takes are going to be gone because Pettiford missed another free throw. So that's both our hot takes are gone.
Yeah, it's
5.
Season over. Season is over. Howard's gone. The season's over.
If there's ever a coach and a staff, though, where emotions are always Auburn, Bruce Pearl teams are always wired a little tight and weird, and we know this. We've seen the characters. We know if there's ever a team and a staff that could they will figure it out with Jakai. Now, how Jakai handles that will be interesting. I just think crazy things. It's kind of like when our guys get injured. It may seem like a huge emotional deal, but usually they're fine, and they're just building some suspense and laying on the floor. It's the similar.
Speak of the devil. Let's talk about the injuries that happened this game. A couple weird injuries, people laying on the court, leaving for the locker room. Janai comes back from an injury. Can we just talk injuries and the way we react to them in general? Your thoughts on them?
My thoughts are our two best players. Our 2 best players are very dramatic when it comes to injuries. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
I thought Chad Baker-Mazara got hit in the head and went to the ground and didn't get a foul. So what does he do? He lingers down there to force a timeout and maybe get them to look at it.
For a full possession. For a full possession, he left them out to defense. Fine. Okay. You were on the ground. You were in a weird spot with photographers and stuff. You should still get up. But then he was still on the ground. We went back on offense too. And then after watching the replay, I really don't know what happened. And then he was back. It felt, and he's always on the ground a bit. Hey, to be fair, he collects
fouls.
Had
to go down to the locker room.
He collects fouls that shock me.
Yeah, how did they know where his dad was? It was
never seen his dad before. We love his mom. His mom.
Well, but that's like his dad's not there very often, so I think they knew that his dad was going to be there tonight.
That's fair. That could
probably a big deal.
That could have been
maybe in the Marlene Navor notes they gave him, hey, his dad's here tonight. If he goes off for 30, classic SID move.
I just hadn't seen them show an Auburn family member in the crowd.
That was pretty wild.
See Janai's family behind the bench sometimes, but you never are up in the orange seats saying, well, here's there goes his dad.
Well, it makes you think if you're talking in the stands or you have a little outburst about how bad one of our players play, that might be his dad sitting next to you. So just got to think twice. Such a small arena, but he collected a foul.
I also thought the game, I know you mentioned some topics. I want to throw this one out there. What was going on with our court tonight? Dudes were slipping.
That's a great topic.
Wait, Ryan, you're our guy on the inside. You have to know why that court is so slippy. Besides,
I don't know.
Rick Barnes spiking his water bottle.
I wasn't obviously.
How was that not a tech? How was that not a tech?
Because all right, hang on.
Slammed
Is it
your
time?
water
Is it
bottle
time to
down
talk?
and they had to stop the game to clean up the water you slammed down like a toddler throwing a sippy cup, and you
Is it
don't get a
time?
tech for that?
Is it time to talk refs? Because that to me encapsulates how poor the officiating was. Because Rick Barnes was right. They should have called a foul on Janai Broom there. But since
Janai
they
was
didn't,
going. I
when
think he
Rick
was fouled for a
slams his
1-1.
water bottle on the court and forces a stoppage of game that should be a technical foul, they go, well, we didn't call the foul on Broom that we probably should have, so we're going to let the technical slide.
Good
What are
have.
we doing here, man? Doug shows,
no
get
tech.
out of the league.
I thought we
no
were
tech
fouling
call.
for the
Nice.
1-1 too there. I really did. And we got lucky. But there was, I mean, it was, I think for the two things for the court. One, I think the court, I don't know if it was because it was so cold in Auburn this week and the heat was running. They had the doors open a lot today with people coming in and out with all the students, college game day. Like there was just a weird humidity issue. But I think it really did have an effect on the game and the shooting because guys were slipping. They couldn't get their feet set. They couldn't get their shoulders square because they were just all over the place. I really do think it had a big impact on the game in whatever way that is. And I'd love to find out from people who was there, like how that was at the game. Was it humid? Whatever, because I think that had a huge effect on it. And number two, the officiating. I mean, there were some calls obviously that we focused on a lot. That I can't really. I don't want to go through all of them, but it did have a big effect on just the way that we were playing, and too, like with Jakai and Chris Moore being out, and us being so thin, us fouling in the way that we do foul and reach and do things sometimes is so frustrating from the sense of our rotation and getting out of an offensive flow. And I think the refs really did hurt the game a lot from an offensive flow standpoint too. So there's a couple factors that I think limited scoring in a lot of ways because there were hardly any runs. There were hardly any fast break points. There was there was just a lot of whistles, a lot of
Very
whistles.
choppy game. Very choppy game. Very half court game. Almost no transition. I don't think we got a single transition or fast break
It says
point.
4 fast break points, but I only remember really one, and I don't even know if that was considered a fast break.
Yeah. Maybe Pettiford like kind of weaved his way through one, but even that, I don't know if I really feel like that was a great necessarily transition point. I mean, half of that was because Tennessee did a really good job of getting back, and that our team has not done a great job of passing in transition this year.
Great to outlet.
We won the rebounding battle.
Yeah, but we didn't. There was a lot of tips, a lot of like once we got the ball, we didn't have the ability to outlet and go.
Part of it too, it feels weird. Like I was like very concerned early that we were losing the rebounding battle, that they were getting a lot of offensive rebounds, but they were not making their shots either, so it didn't matter. But like when a game's this close and low scoring, those offensive rebounds really feel like they're going to hurt. Luckily, they didn't make a ton of shots to like kill us off of those. So I don't know. You always feel those ones more than you feel your own.
Look at the final score. We were up 2 at the half, and that was what we won the game by. Like it was dead heat through the second half.
Well, is there any other stats that 6? Yeah, they didn't get that many fast break points either, except for theirs felt very fast breaky. Their fast break points were like wide open dudes throwing a dunk down with no defenders in sight. I really wish we could have gotten 2 or 3 of those that would have made this game more comfortable, but we just could not seem to break out anytime.
Yeah, I think when you watch the game, it was just a war. And Tennessee is going to be really physical. The refs allowed them to be physical. I think most of the time we've talked about this on the pod, Auburn Bruce Pearl teams are better when you let them play. Like, don't call it tight. Don't call stupid fouls. But there are certain teams, Houston, there's some teams where if they call a game like that, you're going to have to bring it. And I think it's disappointing. I agree with y'all that the rebounding at times felt lacking. You look at we 15 offensive rebounds to 10, we won. We got more second chances than they did. We beat them on the glass. We lost by 1 in defensive rebounding. The shooting was about the same. So if we're going to give them credit for being physical on the glass, I think Auburn deserves that too with a gimpy Janai Broom. And then my problem was more the turnover. I thought there were like 4 or 5 just really uncharacteristic turnovers that Tennessee caused in some ways by their pressure. But in a game like this, where every possession is just so bad, those were what was killing me. The second chance points and the offensive rebounds were tough too. But man, some of those turnovers, like the Miles Kelly one early in the second half when we were starting to get some momentum, and then he just didn't get the ball to Denver well enough, like urgently enough, right at the early shot clock, and they get an easy two. Like those are just devastating. So I'm really glad we survived that. I just want to give credit to our team, even though it felt like maybe we were getting bullied. We win the turnover battle, we win the rebounding battle, and Bruce was very clear this morning on College Game Day. Whoever wins the rebounding battle will win this game. It was clearly drilled into our. I think the effort was there compared to other games. Ryan, you've been to some. Sometimes our effort on the glass is iffy because we expect Broom and Cardwell to get them all. I thought the effort overall was better, and I think the numbers kind of reflect that at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Dan, you got a
I
stat
mean,
for us?
I have a stat for you, but Matt's absolutely right. I mean, like the turnovers, they just came at such inopportune moments. Tennessee lost the turnover battle. But you think about that time that Denver's bringing it up the court and throws the ball to a Chaney Johnson who's just not looking. And Bruce Pearl has to try and calm everybody down. Like, guys, we're still up two. Go play defense. But I got a wild stat for you. With that final dagger three-pointer, Miles Kelly continues to shoot 50% from deep in SEC play.
Oh, he should have gotten some more shots. After his first one went in, I looked and he'd only shot in two, and everybody else, Denver and Pettiford, had shot in a ton. And I feel like all year long, or at least the last like 5 to 6 or 7 games, I'm like, can we manufacture another shot or two for Miles Kelly, because they're going in. Yeah, and he's
a lot of that
shooting low.
A lot of that is credit to Tennessee fighting around our screens. Tennessee played tough around those screens.
Denver Jones was 0 of 5. Pettiford was 0 of 4. I'm looking for Miles Kelly in here. Where's Kelly?
I think he was 2 of 6.
2 of 4?
Oh, 2 of 4. Okay.
2 of 4. And so I don't know. Like I've seen that stat line a couple times now, where I've seen a big goose egg or a lot of shots from Pettiford and Denver and few from Kelly. And I think of the three, Miles Kelly is the best 3-point shooter. And I don't know, coming off those screens, whatever he's doing, kind of hooking around and hitting those, I feel like we got to manufacture those a couple more.
Yeah, but they're all option. I feel like a lot of them are option read there, where the post player is also slipping and getting possibly a better look off of that. And he's just not, he's not a large volume shooter like he once was. Like he's so efficient on that. So just, there were times tonight after he made that first one, he was coming down the court, he was trying to spot up, and we just were not finding him. And that was.
I was really impressed with Tennessee. This is the first team I've seen all year. They knew where 13 was, and they were hand up on him in transition, because he gets a lot of his looks kind of in that, maybe not fast break, but that secondary break action, and he will shoot it from anywhere. And they did a really good, and they made him a driver, and he was not able to get around and finish. My memory of him this game until the final three is like, they kept making him put it on the floor, and then they would close him down, and he couldn't get anything out of it. So obviously that's how everybody's going to try to play him. I just thought Meshack for Tennessee on CBM and on Kelly was unbelievable.
Dude,
like
he's good. So good defensively.
I forget sometimes that Denver and Pettiford are going to get an extra 3 or 2 also at the end of shot clocks when they just have the ball in their hands. So I guess that's another reason Miles Kelly's just never going to have quite as many shots as them. But sorry,
Meshack was causing CBM issues all day. Probably the best defender we played all year, to be honest with you.
Yep. Someone in the chat said there's the number one defense. We played the number one defense twice this year now. I'll look up and see who that was. But Ryan, let me know. You said you got to go here. Possible? Ryan, let us. I know you said you got to leave soon. If there are any other thoughts, especially about the admin staff and just in general the atmosphere and whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's we were the center of college basketball today. We hosted game day. We were the primetime ESPN matchup. Allegedly, we were on ESPN News for half the game, and then back on ESPN at halftime. But look, I mean, we're still number one in the country, guys. We got sucked into playing another team's game, and we still won on the worst shooting night we've had all year, and we'll possibly have all year. We still found a way to win with our guy's ankle surgically sewn onto his body. National Player of the Year, and we still won. And we found a way to win. And yes, as frustrating as it was, as beautiful as our offense has been all year from an efficient standpoint, and there was times tonight where we were like, vibes are off, like what's going on? Energy's bad. These guys still found a way to win, down 4 with 1:30 left. And our freshmen coming in there. I mean, I'm having fun. Y'all having fun?
I'm still having fun. Yeah, we're
having
beating the number 6 team in the country, the number 1 defense in the country.
If we're
I'm
not
still having a
having
lot of
fun
fun.
tonight, guys, we should cancel everything. If we're not having fun this year,
Yeah.
you should give up.
Hey, burn the tape. Let's just go take care of business Wednesday night.
That's
Yeah,
right.
listen, we
LSU.
don't got to see Tennessee again until the conference tournament or possibly March Madness. Like
Thank
all
God
the
we're not going to
win,
Knoxville.
baby.
Could you
Just
imagine what this
win.
score? Could you imagine what this score would be in Knoxville? We'd scored like
We-
13 points.
We don't have to
barely
imagine.
scored in our own house.
We watched that game. It was 46-43. It was miserable.
I got to shout out Goose Goose from the YouTube chat because he's the
guys.
one that called out that we played another number 1 defense. AU Bears in the chat. He said that Miles 3 miss where he dribbled out to the corner is a terrible idea. Jay Lowry said, how many threes did KD put up tonight? Goose Goose says, I feel like a fully healthy Janai gets about 25 tonight. True. I feel like this would have been a lot, not a lot different. It would still have been a tough game, but I feel like this would have been a game that Janai would have went off and we would have had bad shooting, but it would have been fine. And we would have won by 8 or 9 or 10. But because it was hobbled, I think another part I wanted to bring up with you guys, if we have a little more time to talk, was we know how this team's supposed to play without Janai. We know how this team's supposed to play with Janai. It felt like tonight we had a bit of a mixture where the team, as much as we were playing gamemanship with Tennessee about if he was going to play or not, I'm sure our own team wasn't quite sure. And there was about trying to get back into like, okay, well, he's hobbled. Is he going to be minute restriction? Are we playing in the style that we played the last 2 games? Or are we kind of doing our usual thing, except for he's a little slow on defense, so I need to help over a bit. Okay, I'm Cardwell. I can go back to being aggressive again and not worry about fouling as much because we have Broom. But do we have Broom? Is he going to leave at any minute? So I think there was a little bit of hesitation of exactly how we were supposed to play tonight. I don't know if you guys think that's part of the issue.
I mean, Jackson, you were on this from the beginning. I think they wanted to play Janai less, but he was our offense in that first half. I think he had 13 points or 11 points in the first half, and it was huge.
Yeah, I thought they were figuring out on the fly what they wanted to do with him. I texted y'all that I was really excited that Tennessee had that number 34, who wasn't an offensive threat, like from the outside. He was just a big guy. And that allowed Janai, even when he was on the floor with Dylan, to just guard him and Dylan guard the 4, which we've talked about before. They've kind of figured that out. But by the end of the game, they figured out they wanted Chaney on the floor. And I think the biggest part was just to put Janai back at his home. Just let him play center. Let him play inside. He hit that 3 early just standing out there. But, I think we figured out that perhaps we just need to run him more at center, which means a lot of minutes for Chaney if we do that moving forward and maybe a little turtle action. But they survived it. And I think you're right that it was just a combination of the floor, the opponent, Janai coming back, and the kind of game it became. It just became a physical rock fight, battle, war, whatever you want to call it. And that all plays into it as well. But Janai really settled in and played his guts out. I just thought his second half. I mean, he was really good in the first half too, kind of carrying us, hitting some shots. But every time we needed something, now I will give Ben. We have to give Ben a second to be mad about Janai's free throws and Tahad missing a free throw in really pivotal moments late that could have easily cost us this game.
But not Cardwell's free throws. He hit his
Not
2 free throws, and the crowd went nuts. I love they realized how big of a deal it was. They hit those 2 free throws.
Cardwell was 50% from the line, so let's not get crazy.
Oh, wow.
He did miss 2 early on when he was our offense at the beginning of the game here. But overall, Matt was on this. He said it's going to become a free throw battle at the end. Tennessee went 13 for 16 from the line. We went 14 for 19. I mean, that's winning free throw shooting in a rock fight. You have to make at least 75% of your free throws. Tennessee was a 75% team coming in. We were a 74% team coming in. We finished at 73% tonight, which is not great, but it was enough. And enough sometimes is all you need.
Who do you want at the line? Denver,
Chad,
and Tahad,
Baker,
and Chad.
Mazzara.
Yeah.
They had the stat up to number 8 in the country right now in free throw percentage, and he had that insane long streak. He just looks so smooth out there. I was surprised the Pettiford's missed a couple here, mostly because I've been a hawk watching them, because Ben had that hot take that he'd only missed 4 all conference play. Now he's missed some, so he looks great out there when he's shooting them, but he's missed a couple.
He would miss less than 5. Today was 5.
Bruce is incredible. He's amazing. I just had no idea, unless they just didn't trust Chaney, why are we throwing it in with Chad when we in with 13 seconds left when you know they're going to foul? Like, get Chad the ball. That would have been my only. Now Tahad's good, Denver's good, but like I think I would have wanted with Chad, and then Tahad missed one. So that's one thing I hope we can focus because
We
CBM played bad, but he was 7 for 7 at the line tonight, and he's been good all year, and I think he's the guy you want.
we have had an interesting play where whoever gets the ball from the inbounder gets it right back to them. And I think maybe
Yeah, but
that's something that we were possibly trying because the
but
idea there
Chad
is
didn't
then
run in.
well,
Typical Chad. He just threw it in and watched. He didn't run in.
Chad Baker Mazara's effort tonight was not great. I think he was probably the most affected by the bad shooting night, both on defense and on offense. I don't think he was as aggressive as we need him to be. I think getting Broom back hurt Chad Baker Mazara's identity as the dude. I think when Broom is out, he knows he has to be the guy a little bit more. And I think tonight he was a little bit more of a team player, kind of to our detriment.
Well, I thought he looked the most fatigued, which now that I look at it, he was out for 5 or 6 minutes with his injury, and he played the rest of the game. He played 33 minutes. He did not come out because Jakai wasn't an option, and Chris, you don't really want to play. So like, I'm sure he was tired, but it was like there are just moments with him late in games. Uh, hey, this is a really important possession, but who do the coaches go to? When they for that last possession when you're down two with 30 seconds left, they went to Chad on a side ball screen action to let him make the right read. He made a good read to Janai, and normal Janai probably lays that up and ties the game. Instead, Janai's able to get Miles the ball. But I think it's very telling that the coaches put the ball in Chad's hands with the game on the line on the last possession.
Is there one last thing before we switch over to SEC? Talk about some SEC scores we've missed. We had a bye week in between here, so we'll have a couple more extra scores to look through. But I wanted to hear if you wanted to talk about those last 2 minutes. You mentioned earlier you wanted to kind of go through a bit and break that down. You still want to talk about it, or
I think
Yeah,
we've
let's
hit
do it.
it. I mean, I just think people need to understand how tough that is when Tennessee gets the it's a really gut check thing when you're up. We always talk about going to the last timeout, right? We almost joke about how much we track that. You're up two, and you quickly lose that, and you're down four, and you put Tahad in. Tahad makes a nice shot, and then it was just defense. How many? This is the third game
Well,
this
so
year, I
so hang
think,
on.
where
Can
our
I
defense.
can I can I read us through what happened here because this will also remind you of the moment when both Ryan and I in the group chat were like, "Game's over here." We know that Janai Broom is not his full self. With 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go, Janai Broom misses a layup, and Tennessee gets a defensive rebound. Chad Baker Mazara immediately fouls. But Tennessee only goes 1 of 2 from the line. Chad Baker grabs a rebound, Tahad hits a jumper, and then Tennessee strangely calls a timeout. Matt, you called this in the group chat that was a weird timeout for Rick Barnes to call there, up two with the ball and with momentum. And what happens right out of that timeout, Matt Donaldson?
Yeah, I mean the risk is you got to throw it in against Auburn's out of bounds defense, which we know is Bruce's like best thing. And I was just surprised that they would even open the door for that. And whether it was a foul on Broom or they were trying to foul the big guy or whatever, he travels. We get the ball back. It was a huge play and possession in the game, sure.
Yeah, but then you have a crazy, just again, the madness of college basketball sequence. Chaney Johnson misses a 3-point jumper. Janai Broom gets the offensive rebound and draws a foul. Janai Broom misses the front end of a 1-and-1, which again is just another moment where you're feeling like, oh man, we don't have Janai fully back. This is it. That's what's going to happen. Zakai Ziegler misses a layup because we forced him to take a bad shot in the late in the shot clock for them, with only 48 seconds left, and we get the defensive rebound. That leads to the sequence we've talked about all night with Chad Baker Mazara finding Janai inside, who misses close to the basket, but cleans up his own rebound and dishes it to Miles on the wing to hit a 3-pointer to send Auburn up by 1 with 33 seconds left. And that just completely changes the game. Matt talks about this all the time. Being up is so different from being tied or from being down because now the other team knows they have to make something happen. And our defense is just so elite. Tennessee has one of the best defensive teams in America, but we're up there. We're right up there with them. I think we have the number 16 Ken Palm defense in America right now, and it showed on that final possession.
Yeah. Your defense was good enough to win. You don't win a game like this if your defense isn't really good. And they were up to the task. To Tennessee, we can joke about their offense or whatever, but they're a tough team to play. And Ziegler's really good. I know people don't like how crafty he is. He buys calls. He's just a really tough guy to guard. And I think we did a really good job. Whoever that Lanier, that shooter, because other than Jakai's possession, and
Jazz
then
Lanier.
maybe one from Chad, he was pretty quiet. And I think we obviously Stephen Pearl's defensive plan probably had a lot to do with it. We know if you've listened to our past interviews, like he gets the Tennessee game every year for the scout. Like I think they kind of do it a little more strategically, but he wants Tennessee, and he does a really great job with it.
Ryan sends an update in the chat here. That's one good thing about one person leaving. They can go read the message boards and the X, Twitter, or whatever. Yeah. He says, Bruce Pearl and Jakai Howard. He had a rotation out there, and I don't think he felt great about his rotation. We had a conversation, and we had another conversation after the game. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's Bruce
Bruce will
great.
be fine.
Bruce is great. He knows what to say. He's been coaching a long time. He's had a lot of fiery players. I don't know if I believe him necessarily that like everything's fine, but hey, that's your update for Jakai Howard.
Hey,
there.
you know what's fine? Auburn is 6-0 in SEC play. We're at the top of the league for yet another week. We're gonna stay number one,
Sole
boys.
possession.
Third week in a row.
Sole possession of number one in the SEC right now. I have some scores pulled up over here. I think I had to go back pretty far because we've been on that bye week and we had an early game last night. The big result on Saturday night that we didn't get to talk about was Vanderbilt at home in Nashville takes down Tennessee and storms the court against Tennessee, who we just played. That was a big deal for us to get another loss in Tennessee. Now they've got 3 losses to our 0. After that, we had some other games. Tuesday, there were some games. Nothing too big happened. Wednesday, Florida squeaked past South Carolina by 1 point. Arkansas finally got a conference win. Don't underestimate the fact that Calipari was the biggest hire this offseason. And I personally was worried about what he was going to do at Arkansas. And he's just now getting his first conference win. So at least that's one less team to really have to worry about from who's competing with us for the ring right now. Texas A&M beat a ranked Ole Miss by 1 point. That was a good game. Today we Auburn beat Tennessee. Another big victory here. Vanderbilt takes down Kentucky at home and storms the court 2 games in a row. So that's $500K now that they've had to play, along with some other fines and other sports. A great time to be a Vanderbilt sports fan. They are
and important to remember, Auburn is going to go to Nashville on Tuesday, February 11th for a 7 p.m. tip in an arena that we hate and an arena that we won last time because Jalen Williams didn't miss a shot.
Texas A&M goes down again to Texas by 1 point, so they've really fallen off a bit there. So the standings right now are us at 6-0, Alabama at 6-1, Florida 5-2, Missouri 5-2, Tennessee 4-3, Mississippi State 4-3, Vanderbilt 4-3. So it feels like we're starting to see a little bit of pulling away here. I think the big 3 we're really thinking about right now are Auburn, Alabama, and Florida. Florida's got 2 losses. Alabama's got 1, us 0. So it's a big deal that even our third best competition already has 2 losses. It's going to be tough. I don't think we go to Gainesville, right? They just play in Auburn this year.
They just come to Nev.
That's great. Alabama is legit. It sucks. If I'm admitting it, it's real, and that just sucks. And I think even Aiden Holloway's been fine over there. I've not heard many complaints. So that sucks too. We played them twice. But hey, this is an amazing start. You couldn't ask for a better start. A lot of us in our SEC preview circled this Tennessee game as the most hyped game that we were looking forward to, and we pulled it off. It was ugly, but we pulled it off. And I think when we all decided this was the game we wanted, we would have cared if we won the game 3-2. I don't think we would care. If we won the game 150 to 149, I don't think we'd care. All that mattered was you put a W in that column.
I would also just think about, you get these rare, it is, and I think Ben and I have been on the same page about you don't want to have these games come down to the wire because it's just taxing on all of our systems. And we know this team could be so good that they can avoid the last 4 minutes being stressful against a lot of the teams that will play. But man, you get these moments like Miles Kelly 3 in the corner to take the lead against top 10 Tennessee. That's what it's all about. And I hate when you get there, but when you get there and you make plays to win, it creates that belief, and the team starts to believe, oh, well, we were down 18 to Iowa State, and we were down 9 at Houston, and we were down 4 in the last 2 minutes to Tennessee when nothing was going right. Um, it's just cool to have a moment like that, and I think it's one of those things where when you zoom out and you think about where Auburn basketball was, to have a night like tonight when everything kind of went wrong, nothing really was great. Tennessee had a lot to do with that, and you have these moments
Well,
to win a
I
big
want to
game and hit a
if I
big
can
shot.
hit pause on that for just a second. I feel like the Georgia game was more and everything went wrong because we also couldn't stop Georgia. Our defense went so right tonight. And Matt was leaning on this all game of just, guys, we can get these stops. We can keep ourselves in the game. The fact that we never let Tennessee get ahead by more than 4, the biggest lead of the night was Auburn by 6 for the whole game.
Yeah.
And you
I
think
don't know
about
if I've
last
seen a
year.
game like that where there was never more than a 10 points, like 6 or 4, the whole game. It was
Yeah.
always tight. I don't know if I've seen that in a long time.
And you think about last season, we didn't win a single digit game until the SEC tournament in the second round over Mississippi State. We blew teams out or we lost. And the first time we faced some real adversity was in the first round of March Madness when we went home way too early last year. So we're 7-1 against the AP top 25. You watch this team again and again rise to the challenge in ways that are so unexpected and so incredible. And you just feel like we got what Jackson's been begging for years. We got shooters all over the floor. We got a team full of dudes.
Didn't feel like tonight, though. I did not feel like we had shooters all over the floor tonight, but we got them in general.
But even tonight, right, Jackson, having Miles Kelly on the wing in that pivotal moment is a big upgrade from what we've had in previously in those moments. Like I think the weapons
in
are
previous
there.
years, that's KD Johnson.
Yeah, and he
shout out.
Okay, no one.
Yeah, I've got Kim Pom.
We did make some
here.
history. We made some history.
Uh-oh.
I want to point out. 11th quad 1 win. That's not the history, but 11 quad 1 wins already, and it's January. And then 7 ranked wins, 7th ranked win of the year, most in program history.
Wow, the most in 1 year. And we've got so many more to come. I mean, I'm not counting victories this way against ranked teams, like with so many more opportunities to get them. That's just, the SEC is on a wild one right now. In fact, we are still apparently, I assume this is updated pretty quickly, Kim Pom. I don't know if it takes a couple hours or something. We're apparently still number 1 in the nation in offense. Number 2, Florida. Number 3, Alabama. Number 4, Kentucky. That's how insane it is right now in the SEC that we have this many offenses playing out. Defense, we're at 13, which is still really respectable. Tennessee is number 1 in defense. We had to play them. Texas A&M is number 7. Mississippi, Ole Miss is actually in the top 10. So it's tough out there, guys. And we're number 2 right now in Kim Pom overall, very close to Duke, who's also playing great, but they're playing a bunch of nobodies. Man, it is a wild time to be an Auburn fan, a wild time to be in SEC basketball. We'll be number 1 in the AP poll once again. Soak it in, folks. We were begging for it 2 years to be number 1. Now what, we 3 weeks in a row we'll be number 1? Amazing. Count them out because it matters 10 years, 20 years from now. The kids that were around for this number 1 ranking, like this, we're making history. We're building a foundation for a long, long time from now when Bruce Pearl's gone. We will have built a basketball culture doing this kind of stuff.
Can I mention this week, like looking ahead? Because I think this is the first third of the conference season's over. It's 18 games. We're 6-0. Couldn't have asked for a better 6-game start. We knew we need to be ahead because our back end of our schedule is harder. So far, mission accomplished. Tonight was huge. We go to LSU on Wednesday night, but on Tuesday night, Kentucky and Tennessee play. One of them is going to lose again. And I still think both of those teams are good enough that we need to keep cheering for them to lose. Like, I know 3 games seems like a lot, but in the SEC, it's not hard to lose 2 or 3 down. So I'm glad they're losing. We go to LSU on Wednesday. LSU played Alabama really close in Tuscaloosa today. So again, you just can't take anything for granted, especially on the road. But Alabama's also on the road Wednesday at Mississippi State, who barely beat South Carolina because that's what South Carolina does this year. But Mississippi State's a pretty good team. And man, if we could get that 2-game gap ahead of Alabama coming out of Wednesday, that would be really nice.
I'm over here on the Kim Pom site. This is just a little fun tidbit. For some reason, there's one of those weird curling blocks on the top left corner. So I clicked that. And apparently Kim Pom also keeps up with the World Curling Men's Top 100. So he's not just a college basketball ranking guy. He's in the curling too. Fun tidbit. You're only gonna find that out on the Jungle Auburn Basketball Podcast an hour and a half into the podcast. No other podcast is gonna give you that. In fact, actually, I'll tell you what, they might give you that, but they'll talk about it for 20 minutes at the start of the podcast before they ever talk about Auburn basketball. We hold this stuff in to the end.
By the way, we're on the road both games this week. I forgot we go to Ole Miss Saturday. So 2 road
week,
games
baby.
this week. Putting that number 1 ranking. We had to do back-to-back road games earlier, which we have more home games on the back end, which is nice. But tough to go on the road, as we've seen. Everybody's losing. So LSU and Ole Miss, even if Ole Miss has been good and LSU is dangerous. So we're going to have to earn it again this week.
Is there a chance Janai Broom doesn't play these? Do you think there's a chance that he says, "Oh, I pushed it too hard," because he looked limpy out there?
No. Soft tissue injuries are always a slower recovery, but every day is better. So the fact that he could play is already huge. He's gonna need some R&R for sure, but we don't play again until Wednesday, so it's gonna be a lot of rehab for him. But unless he re-rolls that ankle, he's playing the rest of the year.
I feel like first of all, he's always walked with a limp. Have you ever noticed, if you go back when he was healthy, he still walked kind of awkwardly. So I think sometimes now we're hypersensitive to it. I thought he looked more comfortable as the game went on, which I'm really encouraged by.
He's done this in other games too. That's a little irritating because he's just so automatic under the basket. He backs everyone down so well and gets to his little shoulder. He sometimes early in games settles for a long jump shot too early. He has a little trouble on the very first time he tries to back his guy down and then decides to do a fadeaway too, which is his absolute worst shot to take. He shoots threes earlier in games too, typically, but man, down the stretch, he started just bullying the guys once again. And I don't feel like they were going in quite as easily, but that could also be because you're playing the number 1 defense and not because you're hurt. But I think it's something to watch going forward.
Well, hey,
he missed
get
some
this
for sure that he would have made. Yeah.
Get this. The gap has narrowed, but Auburn is still the number 1 Ken Palm offense after this game.
It's crazy.
And we improved defensively. We went from 16 to 13 in defensive analytics. So
any other thoughts, guys, before we end it?
Man, it feels good to win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we won a game that I thought was over. So I'm really pumped for our guys that they kept playing and made it happen when it didn't look. It's been a while since I've watched a game where we have been so talented and so good this year, and even last year we were really good. This game felt out of our hands in a way that felt very uncomfortable as fans, and I'm just really thankful that we won because I live in Tennessee and I'm going to work Monday, and I'm just glad that we get to be number 1 for another week. It all matters, and we're ring chasing. We've always been ring chasing with this team, but we're in a great spot. I wish Alabama would lose some more, but other than that, it has been the perfect first 3 weeks of conference play for us. It really has.
If you're listening at home on your podcast app, do us a favor. Open your app, hit copy, and send paste to one of your friends. We are having a good time out here. It's an amazing time to be an Auburn basketball fan. Throw it to some friends. Say, hey, I've been keeping up with Auburn basketball through this. I know you're a busy guy. You got some kids or whatever. This is a great way to keep up with the team. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys like us if you've listened to us this long. I only got a couple questions here. One particular question. Ben?
Wait, Jackson, if I could before you jump into the questions here, we got our first non-5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And listen, maybe we're not everybody's favorite podcast, and that's okay. But if you haven't given us a rating yet, make sure if you're listening this late in the podcast, we know you like us. We know you like the hot takes. We know you like the cold takes. Throw us 5 stars. Let's get that rating back up there.
It hurts. It hurts to see the 4.9. We were doing so well. But Ben, are you having fun?
Jackson, I'm having so much fun.
Matt, are you having fun?
I'm having insane amounts of fun watching this team.
I am having a blast out here. It gets more and more fun every game. Tune in, guys, and War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thanks, you too, man. That was a lively chat. A lot of people in the chat this time. Love it. Goose really going in there. AU Bear, Reddit legend. Love it. Love seeing Jay Lowry. Jay, we always appreciate you reaching out on socials. So I love seeing you in the YouTube chat as well. I feel like this is the best place to reach us. I think I'd love to set up a Discord at some point. So, Matt and me and Storm and I'll talk about our game day chat where we go off and say insane things throughout the game. I'd love to invite in the YouTube chat or the listeners during that. I think that would be a fun
Yeah, hey, listen,
experience
if you're still on YouTube right now, put a comment on this video and let us know if you would join a WhatsApp group for the game day chats. We'll consider creating one of those so you can watch how many times Ben and Jackson say it's over.
We sound much me and Ben already don't sound that reasonable on the podcast, but if you heard our chats during the game, you would lose a lot of respect for us, I think. But it's we live,
we're the
me
vibes,
and Ben live
we're the vibe
by
guys.
our
Color
emotions.
commentary. That's why you have us on.
It is entertaining, and I mean, we all have our things, right? We all have our things we obsess over. Like I yell about CBM like 4 times a game because it just drives me nuts. Some of the things he does, and not the bad. The good things are great. So we all have our obsessive takes, and I think that's what makes it fun.
We're all like on a
Matt,
scale
even
of
in that
insanity for sure.
Even in that, you've been so reasonable this season that it takes like 3 bad plays in a row for you to be like, all right, CBM's killing us.
We would have had a whole if we had lost this game, if we had all shown up, because I just thought we weren't tough enough. Honestly, I thought most of the game we were not up to the physical challenge of this game, and that's why we lost. It wasn't because we're not victims. We're not. The refs can be bad. The refs are bad like all the time. Like, I just think we have to like let some of that go.
The thing that annoys me about the refs is that they were bad in both directions tonight. And that's when you know, like, all right, it's really a bad officiating crew, and that's going to cost you.
But you need it to be
But
bad
Matt,
in both directions, so it's not against you.
I get,
like you need it.
I want him to be good in both directions. But Matt, I feel the same way that you do. I thought maybe after Houston and after Iowa State, I would finally have the faith in this team to know that like there is no challenge that's too tough for them. They're going to find a way to figure it out. But we've been snake bit as Auburn fans for so long.
Yeah, we will lose. I mean, just to be clear, this team is going to lose. But I think just seeing them fight, like the fight tonight.
Matt hates us. Matt hates our team. He thinks we're going to lose all the time.
Listen,
that's a classic Ben text, honestly.
No. My problem with Matt is always analyzing how good the other teams are, and I don't want to hear that crap. Matt is higher on this team than any of the 4 of us for sure. But every time he'll be like, "Man, Tennessee's just they're executing really good right here." And I'm like, "Shut up! I don't want to talk about the balls."
It's true. I just think it makes the wins better. If you acknowledge how good Alabama is, it makes beating Alabama mean more. If you acknowledge how good Tennessee is, it makes when you beat them.
I cared about that so much more last year when we were desperate for a quad 1 win. We've got 11 of them now. I don't care. I don't care if we Duke walk our way through the rest of this conference and every other SEC team misses the tournament. That would make me feel way better.
Me too. But it's not happening. They're all good. They're all good basketball
teams. You're right.
Georgia's good.
That's why I'm really angry, Matt. It's because you're right. It's because you're right.
This is good. All these teams are good teams, like Jackson pointed out. Like it's
the rankings from like the top couple are staying in the top 10 or whatever, but the rankings of like the ones in the 20s and the teens of like Ole Misses and Texas A&Ms and even Mizzou, somebody pointed out in the chat, only has 2 losses in the SEC right now. Yep. But they're all going to be like
and
kind of
Mizzou
going in and out
Florida,
of the rankings constantly. There's going to be like this constant back and forth of Mississippi State and things going in and out of the rankings because they keep playing each other and like winning and losing.
Wait, hang on, I got to check that. Mizzou
Vanderbilt might be
the swamp and beat Florida, right? That was Florida's second.
They're going to rank Vanderbilt, right? They're going to rank Vanderbilt.
No,
got to.
Right? They've only lost 3 games or 4 games. They just beat 2 top 10 teams, right? Yeah.
No shot.
Either way, Tennessee's reward for losing tonight is they host Kentucky and Florida this week.
Yeah. Missouri went into Gainesville and beat Florida. That's how good Missouri is. Missouri came to Neville and lost by 16 and then went on the road to Florida and beat them.
Did they was that was yeah, I guess I missed that in the score. I thought there was at least one other upset out there that I missed. Because there's a lot of upsets over the last week and a half. It's crazy that we got through that gauntlet. In fact, it would have been so annoying to watch everyone else lose games and us too, because we're out with Janai Broom and then fall.
Oh, wait.
All in the rankings where
everybody else
kind of moves around. And I'm like, we lost our best player and you move us to everybody else lost too, But that's all.
UConn UConn lost again tonight. They lost at Xavier.
I wonder what Dan
I'm-
Hurley said. Then he's oof.
Listen, I saw it. I saw a projection where they put UConn as an 8 seed in the bracket with us, and honestly, that terrifies me. I do not want to play UConn in game 2.
I was
Which
going
you know
off. I was going
us.
off in the text about Dan Hurley. They like, I mean, they agreed on the thing to be like, you're going to be the guy that defends Dan Hurley, and we're going to be the other guy, and you got to bring the passion or whatever. But like, the way he's been acting is absolutely insane. The way we don't hold any of our like people in power to any accountability for their actions because they're good at winning basketball games is just absolutely insane. Dude's crazy right now.
I mean, look, if I went back to back national championships in college basketball, you couldn't tell me anything either. I'd be insufferable.
I mean, it's part of being a big leader is you got to be able to like set the example and like, I don't know. He's just acted like such
There's
a
something
fool.
weird going on. There is something weird going on in this NIL era where old school coaches don't seem to know how to handle it. And that's probably the nicest thing about this Ja'Kai situation is Bruce not writing him off and being like, no, we're going to go back. We're going to coach this young man. We're going to get him right.
They got a big investment in him, you know. That was a lot of money to waste if he just walks off the team, you know.
I mean, maybe, or it could just be that like Bruce is built differently, where he understands the value of second chances because of what happened to him. I don't know.
I might saw Chris Moore get hit in the head and be like, "Crap, your guy Howard's off the team, and Chris Moore gets hurt, and this team will start losing depth real quick. Let's talk this guy off the ledge. We might need him later in the year.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
And then after the year's over, we can just.
All right, listen, I got to get this graphic made so Matt can share the podcast.
All right, thanks, chat.
Yes, let's do it.
Thanks for sticking around.
We had 18 people stick around through this crap.
Hope
Great
you
job,
enjoyed
YouTube.
it.
Way to stick around.